Hello, this is James again with El Paso English Cafe. All right, today I'd like to take you through the difference between this sound number 1 in English, E, and the sound number 2, I. I'm going to relate it to Spanish sounds, but this is a very common sound in many languages, and this is uncommon in languages, so it's probably applicable to you as well. Okay, here we go, whether you speak Spanish or not. Okay, as we went through in a different video, Spanish has E and then A. English has, in the same space, in the same physical space in your mouth, English creates 3 vowels, E, I, A. Okay, so the challenge here is for speakers of other languages to develop this particular sound. Generally, this is the sound that gives most foreign speakers of English some difficulty. Okay, and I work with Spanish speakers all the time, and there is some difficulty. Okay, the difference here is a physical difference. Okay, the tongue comes down some. The mouth opens some, maybe a fraction of an inch. I mean, 1/8 of an inch. We're talking, you know, 1/5 of a centimeter, something like that. So here we have teeth, fish, E, I. I'll get closer. I don't know if you can see anything move. I'll do sound number 1, E. Sound 2, I, E, I, E, I, E, I. You can see my jaw moving just a little bit, and I hope you can see my tongue moving as well. So we'll try it again. E, I, E, I, E, I. 1, 2, 1, 2. E, I, E, I. My mouth moves a fraction, okay, not very much. If you go further, you get a different sound. E, A. No, that was too much. That was wrong. That was too much. You get a different sound, which will be perceived as something other than what you intend. Okay, your speakers, your listeners may have difficulty with it. Okay, so we're talking about a real small movement, but a movement nonetheless. Okay, so there's another difficulty. Many Spanish speakers would, in the beginning, they to some extent ignore this sound. And there's another complication for Spanish speakers. In Spanish, this letter I is the letter E, and it indicates this Spanish sound E. So for the Spanish speaker to see this written, the association from Spanish is not this sound. It cannot be, because this sound doesn't exist, but it's associated with this other sound which is close to English E. So that's another complication. So the sound does not exist, and the association from Spanish is with this other sound. So there are 2 complications here. Okay, so why don't you try it with me? First we'll say teeth. E, teeth. E, E, E. These teeth are clean and mean. Okay, now we'll do this. I, 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 I. Swim with this fish if you wish. Okay, now we'll do a couple pairs of sounds. In another video, I practiced those phrases with the whole chart, but those are the phrases I have for practicing E, I. Excuse me. All right, now one problem is you'll cause difficulty for your listeners because there are several words in English that differ only because of a difference from vowel sound number 1 to vowel sound number 2. So you've got the word seat in English, but also the word sit. Okay? And you can cause confusion for your listeners if your vowel sound is not the same as what your listeners are accustomed to hearing. Okay, so we've got seat and sit. We've got team and Tim, deep, dip, sleep, slip. Okay, and maybe the most common, and I actually have a nice example you'll see. We've got leave and we have live. Leave go away. Live, continue to be alive, correct? All right, so I have a little story. Let's imagine you're visiting your grandfather, and he's in the hospital, and he has a very, very serious condition, and you love your grandfather dearly, and you want to express to your grandfather that you want him to continue to live. Oh, grandfather, grandfather, I want you to live. Well, if you replace this sound number 2 with sound number 1, suddenly you change the meaning to grandfather, go away. Grandfather, die. Grandfather, I want you to leave. No, you told him to die. So sometimes the difference between 1 and 2 can cause confusion. And you don't want to confuse your dying grandfather, do you? Okay. And maybe it's not your grandfather. Does your grandfather speak English? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so here we go. I've got some other examples where the difference between 1 and 2 can cause some confusion. I have the word sleep, vowel sound number 1, sleep, right? Another word very close is slip. Slip means to, whoa, you're walking and you something on the floor, doesn't give you good traction, and whoa, you're going to fall, right? That's slip. Okay, so here we go. Here's a sentence that maybe has sleep, maybe has slip. They're both verbs, right? So here's my sentence. Be careful not to sleep in the class. Was that sleep? Or did I say, whoa, slip? Listen again. I'll say it exactly the same. Be careful not to sleep in the class. Okay, sleep. It was sound number 1. Very rude for your teacher if you sleep in the classroom. Now let me say it with sound number 2, with slip. Slip, okay? Here we go. Be careful not to slip in the classroom. You may hurt yourself, right? If you fall, you may hurt yourself. Maybe someone spilled water on the floor. So hey, be careful not to slip in the classroom. Sleep, sound number 1, slip, sound number 2. Another example. Can you tell me about the meet? Okay, a meet is when people get together and have some kind of sporting event. You have wrestling meets, track meets, tennis meets, okay? Some kind of competition is a meet. Excuse me. Or, sound number 2, can you tell me about the mitt? A mitt is something to go on your hand, either for cooking, so you don't burn your hand if you're taking something hot out of the oven, or it's also something that you wear to play baseball. Correct? Okay, so here's sound number 1. Can you tell me about the meet? About the competition? About the time people got together to play a sport? Can you tell me about the meet? Now sound number 2, mitt. Can you tell me about the mitt? Yes, you lost your mitt? Well, what color was it? How big was it? Your mitt, right, goes on your hand. Okay, now we'll give you a challenge. I'm going to say the sentence and you guess, see if you can distinguish. Do I use sound number 1 and say meet, or do I use sound number 2 and say mitt? So here we go. Can you tell me about the meet? Was that sound 1 or sound 2? Can you tell me about the meet? It was sound 1. Yes, sound 1. And that word meet is spelled M-E-E-T. Okay, another example. The difference between deep and dip. Deep, you talk about water being deep if it's 40, 50, 80, 100 meters down in the water, that's very deep. Okay? Or dip. Dip is something you put on your corn chips to eat. You dip and eat your corn chips, right? Okay, so I lost it in the deep. Sound number one. I lost it in the deep. You can say the deep water. You can say just the deep. I lost it in the deep. Something like your wedding ring fell down. Oh, I lost it in the deep. Okay? That's very serious. You may not get it back. In the deep. Okay? But if you lost your wedding ring in the dip, you have some chance of recovering your wedding ring. I lost it in sound number one, the deep. I lost it in sound number two, the dip. Deep, dip. Deep, dip. Okay, remember, grandfather, sound number two. I want you to live. I want you to live. No, don't die, grandfather. Live, live, live. Can you imagine saying, grandfather, leave, leave, leave. No, you told him to go away. Don't do that. All right, so that was it. Difference between sound number one, sound number two. Email me. Let me know if you think this is effective. Do you want more examples? Thank you. I hope you enjoy El Paso English Cafe.